Welcome to my channel. My name's Tiffany and I'm a professional costume and prop fabricator as well as educator here on YouTube and would love to have you as part of our cosplay building community. So like the video and subscribe to the channel. On today's cosplay tutorial, I'm gonna be showing you how to make an EVA foam mask as well as ears for your son, Princess Mononoke costume, and it's all EVA foam. So let's begin. And here are all the materials I used to make the ears and mask. I'll have links in the description, as well as the pattern for the mask and ears are available on my website, link also in the description. First off, we're gonna start by talking about the ears. And for my pattern, there are 3 pieces for this ear that you will need to trace onto 2mm EVA foam, and then you are going to want to mirror them again on 2mm EVA foam, and don't forget to label each of the pieces. Followed by heat treating your foam and then cutting it out using an X-Acto knife. Now for assembly, grab your contact cement glue and apply glue around all of the edges for parts 1 and 2. Once the glue is fully dry, you can then start to assemble it, starting off with part 2, connecting it to itself, and then you're going to connect part 1 to part 2. And I found it easiest to connect the shorter lengths first, starting at the bottom and working my way up to the point, then go to the opposite side, connect that end, and then work the 2 sections together. And then for the last part, you're going to want to apply the glue on top of it this time instead of on the edges. And this, once it is dry, you can then attach to the bottom part of the ear. And a little helper tip, if all of your pieces are fully connected, it's going to feel like there's a bunch of air stuck in this. And to remove that air, you can either get a sewing pin or an X-Acto knife and just do a little poke in the bottom part and it won't be seen, but this way you'll be able to push the air out of that hole and then you'll get the desired crease down the front to give you the correct curvature of the ear shape. And how I envision the ears as well as the mask is that they were made out of wood, and I wanted to recreate that for a texture wise on these ears, so I got an X-Acto knife and then just started carving some little slash lines up and down the ears. Make sure not to puncture all the way through, and once that is done, you can grab your heat gun and lightly heat treat the piece, and this will activate all of those lines and make them a lot more visible and look kind of like wood. And the last step to complete the ears is just to round off all of your edges using a sanding drum, and your ears are complete. Now for the mask. To first start off, you're gonna wanna grab your pattern and you're gonna trace letters A through F onto 4mm EVA foam. Then grab your heat gun and we're going to heat treat the EVA foam before cutting it out with an X-Acto knife. This will make it so all of our lines are nice and crisp and clean rather than doing it after, and it would make our lines more gummy berry. Then apply your contact cement glue to all of the edges. Wait for all of the glue to fully dry and then you can start to assemble the pieces together. And I found it easiest to do this in the 2 sections, so attaching D, E, and F first together, and then attaching C, B, and A together. And once those 2 pieces were fully attached with the 3 components, attaching the 2 halves together to make one. And a helpful tip for doing this, attach the parts at the edge first, and then slowly using the table to push down. This will ensure that your pieces align flat and aren't wobbly. Then to your workbench, grab your Dremel and your sanding drum, and I went and rounded all of the edges so that way it wasn't sharp. And just like the ears, I wanted to add a wood kind of texture to this. So I grabbed a sanding stone and kind of just started on one side doing straight lines back and forth. You want to keep all of these lines going in one direction, not going towards the center. So you want them to go vertical across the mask. And when doing this, make it so all of your strokes are different lengths. Some are closer together, some are farther away. And you can also do this with your sanding drum a little bit, or if you have a cutting wheel disc, you can use that as well. Or even your X-Acto knife, how we did with the ears. And a reminder, with the X-Acto knife, you're gonna want to use a heat gun to activate all of the lines to open again. Just be careful not to overdo it so your glue seams don't come apart. Now for the eyes and the mouth. And for this process, you're going to want to use cos-tools circle cutter to cut these holes. And for cos-tools, it can only cut 1 circle at a time, so you're going to need to do a little little bit of math. You'll first want to get the length of the inside of your eye and then divide it by 2. And I find this very easy to do with some calipers, but you can also just use a normal ruler. Then just adjust the length of your cos-tools circle cutter, starting from the center and moving it outward to the correct length. And now you are ready to cut. And don't forget to place a dot in the center that you will align your cos-tools tool on top of before cutting. Now that the inner circle is cut, it's time to get the outer circle cut. And you're gonna repeat the same thing by getting the length, dividing it by 2, and then figuring out how much to change the cos-tools cutter. You will then leave the initial circle in its place and align with that center hole and proceed to cut. Once you're done, you should have a Cheerio-like piece that you can remove. And if you want, you can just use as is, but I wanted to give this more of an angle-like look. So I first drew a circle in the center as a guideline, and then got a box cutter that was really sharp and carved it at a 45-degree angle all the way around. Then back to your workbench to sand all of your edges using a sanding drum. And at this point, I did add some details with an X-Acto knife and then open it up with a heat gun. I just didn't film it. Now for attaching them. And for this, you'll want to cut out all of the circles from the pattern, and then I folded it in half so this way I could kind of know where the center is and traced where each of the pieces were going to sit. Then apply your contact cement glue to both the mask and the backs of the eyes, wait for them to fully dry, and attach them together. And for the small pointed pieces coming out of the eyes, I cut these out of 2mm EVA foam and glued it together. Then for the, I don't know what they're called, squiggly line thingies on the face, I got my pattern and I cut off the bottom section and traced where that line was. And then applied contact cement glue to the mask as well as the backside of my half round dowel rods and attached together. And a tip to save money, typically dowel rods and half dowel rods are the same price. So buy a dowel rod and cut it in half, and basically the price got cut in half for you, so you can save some money like I did. Then just cut off the extra bits, add some more of your texture with the X-Acto knife, sand your edges, and finish with a heat treat onto them to complete your mask. And that, guys, is how I made the mask, as well as the ears for my Princess Mononoke cosplay. I hope you found this video helpful for making your very own. And let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. I'd love to hear back from you. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. There will be a part 2 for this on how I paint these pieces, as well as how I make the rest of the furry headdress. So stay tuned. As well as a big thank you to all of my company sponsors here on YouTube, as well as all of my YouTube members, specifically those legendary members who financially help to support me so I can continue doing this as my full-time job and my main source of income. And I will see you for our next cosplay tutorial. Much love, guys.